Well, good morning. It's Fred back on the George Elmy, and let you see our progress to date. We're now really moving forward. We're getting close to a completion. We're actually getting some timber on the boat and putting some varnish on it, which is a pleasure to do. It gives you a little bit hope that you're very close to the finishing line. You see on this forward end here, we'll have washboards. These are 1.5 inch thick oak. There's quite a bit of steaming and bolting to get them into position. Then there's a thick 2-inch cap and rail goes on the top of it as a wearing board. We've got bollards on here which we've had to make our own bolts to fit up nice and tidy. We haven't got it on this side, but if we look across to the other side, we have one of the corner pieces on, which we're very fortunate that they had 2 of them. A lot of casting work to get them made up, but they had a pair, but it's starting to look good. All the bolts are downed in. The bulkhead's in and done, but it's a bit rough just now because we just put the filler in last night. This all has to be sanded off and varnished up, and we've now progressed the top rail. That was all put on yesterday, but it all has to be sanded off, so when it's cleaned up it'll look the same as this. This has had 1 coat of varnish on the inside gunnel. So seating, these frames, I don't know if they're in on the last film or not, but they're in now. These are to take a support for the rails of the seating, and there's the buoyancy, top buoyancy fits underneath them. So they're all fit and bolted up. They've really stiffened the boat right up, made a big solid job. And we've moved from that. We're now into the engine area. This is a steel plate with bridging bolts in the bottom, and the feet of the engine go on there. And we've lifted the engine in from this side of the boat, dropped it down here, fit it, and then we've lifted it across and moved it, and we'll have an identical engine coming, so all our prep work is done on this side. Now if we look over here, this engine is completely bolted down. This is a finished job on here. Exhaust system, we'd like to, obviously the engines are identical. On this side the exhaust goes straight out through the bulkhead, but on this side to go across to the other side we'll have to have this piece manufactured up. This has all been stainless, this is all nicely tigged, welded up. Been a lovely job done on that forward. That goes in there. Now also we've had to have made in between here some little dummy shafts. Now these are made up by DWH at Hebburn, a lad called Dave who does a superb job for her. I put them together and I know they're going to fit. He's a top engineer, and I know when I go to a job I can just assemble the bits, I'm not going to have any hiccups. So he's done them for her. So they are a very good job. And I say that's bolted in, fixed, down, ready to go for the next one. Our next job is we'll be putting the seacocks in. In between here there'll be a small bilge pump getting fitted. That'll go to an outlet on here through the hull. We'll also be putting a bilge pump in this next bay forward of the bulkhead, and another bilge pump in aft. And here is we'll have this watertight bulkhead in between here. So from here we'll come across with exhaust, and this is a water trap that goes in, and then from there the pipe progresses up to aft into the after locker, and we'll show you the skin fitting on that in a minute. We've also now we've made a unit up for the match up on this pipe on the steering. The original piece was only about 2 foot long, so what we've done is we've gotten a longer pipe, we've cut the 2 ends off, and then we've stuck the 2 ends in on each end, and that's given me the full length. That's looking really good. This is all connected up now and working very well. I don't think this is the actual wheel they're putting on. I've had another one cleaned up, but this flows up because this is the last job to bolt in. This bolts through here, so that's up and finished, bar one little job. Got a little bit of chock to go in here to finish this off, so all that has to be stripped off to fit a little chock. I don't know if we can see inside here in the far corner there. This is the skin fitting for the exhaust. It comes along and then as an elbow it turns up and goes to an elbow through the skin. So that's what we've got done on here, and it's coming on very well. We've now got quite a bit of the floors up the sides and the wings. They've now been able to be fastened down. We did a water test on the last video and we found 2 little leaks, which I was absolutely over the moon just finding 2 leaks. It's about 6.5 years since the boat was last in the water, so to just find 2 leaks was very good. And I was quite pleased that they weren't on my bit, they were on an old piece. But we need to do a repair of a different type. We'll have some equipment. When we step out the boat, I'll show you how we're going to get this little repair done. It's a leak behind a pad, but the pad runs full length along the side of the keel and the engine side, so we don't want to take it all off, but we'll have a little system that we can use that'll seal it up and get it correct. On here, this is the exhaust fitting that comes through the hull. These were in the midship section, but we've modified them and we're putting the exhaust out the after end where they would have been on this type of boat. So that's all nicely cleaned up. These have all been out and rebolted. That's bonded in. It just needs tidying up prior to a coat of paint. We've had this covered with some cloth, silk cloth gone on here. Then it's bonded on with resin, and then there's a floor coat put on the top. Now, we're still working on the boat and there's bits of varnish and stuff getting splashed about, so this will be getting another floor coat on the top. Again with our local fiberglass. I've got to say East Coast fiberglass supplies, not northeast, because the lad's got to do a little alteration on the screen. So it is definitely East Coast fiberglass supplies. So that's for Gary. Here we've had a steam round a piece of oak. This is all we're doweling in here. We'll show you a little trick upstairs with a filler later on. Saying, to fix our leak on the underside, we'll have various gadgets that we've made and created ourselves. Boat builders make, do and mend. This is a tool that has served very well over the years. It's homemade, it's a bit chunky, stainless steel, but the effect is it's like a mastic gun, only I can get a terrific amount of pressure with this. Now I've used it on stern tubes. Nearly every stern tube I fit I use this, and I've sealed them up, and I've had compound coming away out of a split in a dead wood, maybe 3 foot away, and it's sealed it all up. And what is this pipe is hollow, so we'll put our lead paste in there and we'll turn this handle here. This is a bit of stud bar that's tapered down. We'll drill a 1/2 inch hole in, then we'll put this in the hole and you wind it in to the wood like a thread, and then you've the nuts on to hold it with a spanner. And when we tighten this up, the lead paste squeezes out the end. Don't want to get too much pressure on it, but you can see it working there. And also the beauty of this, the larger one, is if you had a boat with a leaking stern tube and it was in the water, you can drill a hole down through the top of the dead wood to the stern tube, and you can actually get the water coming out the leaky stern tube, and you can seal it actually while the boat's afloat. You can do a repair, so it doesn't need to be lifted out. So, tip of the day, shall we say. We're on about doing our filler on the boat. Now, a good thing for your filler, 2-pack glue, again our friends from East Coast, little drop of hardener. I'm not going to mix a lot up because I'm not going to use it. That's your glue mixed. Give that a quick whiz up. It always pays if you give it a good mix up first. I'm just using this yogurt pot to show you, but we normally use a tin because some of these glues are a bit active and you find you can be nicely stirring away and then all of a sudden the pot decides to melt in your hands, so you have nothing left. So we've got quite a fairly little mix in there. Now here's where we do a bit of cheating. This is a pile of very fine sawdust that's come off the back of the bandsaw. So we know we want to fill some oak up, so this is the sawdust off the oak. So I'll just put some of that in there. I'll just give that a mix up. And it takes a lot of sawdust to get it mixed up. You try to feel with your fingers, you do get a few odd lumps which can't be helped. And just keep on mixing till you get a consistency. But there's the consistency of your filler. See, pretty solid. So we'll just push that into there. You always try to leave a bump on the top, and then you know you're not going to have a hole in the job. But you do try to take off as much as you can because it's less to sand. Next job on the foredeck. Underneath all the there's a couple of light boxes go on, and they've got to have some shaped pads. Quite a big bit of oak for the job, so they've got to go on, and then we'll have these light boxes. They get cleaned up and put on. They're going to fit on top of there so that when they're lying on the deck, they lie nice and flat. These have been made by Ernie, lad from the Trust. Done a very good job of them. Nicely dovetailed on the corners. Done a really smart job. Very nice. Get them painted up. One red, one green, one port, one starboard. Hopefully next week we're going to be back under the canopy. Nearly all the work is done inside bar the seats. Ernie and the lads are going to get them finished off now, and then I'm on the canopy. Then we'll get our next engine in, canopy on the top, bulkhead in, and we're finishing off. We'll be getting a final coat of gloss on the outside, and then the signwriter will come in, do his bit of gold leaf work, alter all the boat, take all the credit, and it's the job that does finish the boat off. When the name's on nicely painted and RNLI crest on the front, that'll really set it off. So we're well on the way. There's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. It's normally followed by an express train, but never mind, we're getting there and it's looking good. We're having a pleasant little surprise today. We're getting quite a following on the YouTube, and a family came in today. They've came from Devon, and they've came all the way up to have a look at the boat, and they've brought with 2 boxes of biscuits in it for all the good work that we're doing. So that was a pleasant surprise. All right, well that's it for today. So we're now going to have a bit more play with some timber on the boat, and we'll catch you up again next month, or in that 2 or 3 weeks. Things are moving a bit quicker now, so Nick might have to come in sharper.